before I hit record, we were saying it must have been just over a year ago. It's probably like 14 months ago or so. You were on here for the last time. I had so much fun chatting with you, so I was pumped that you were going to come back on. But I was really keen because last time we chatted, we spoke a little bit about your lace up running coaching, and I was trying to pick your brains and just understand a little bit about what's going on there. But how's it all been going? The last 14 months has been a crazy month for all of us. But how's things in running? How's things in life? What's going on up your way?
Yeah, no, we've been going really well, so because we initially started Lace Up at the start of 2020, just sort of about March 2020 when COVID hit, and we just started it as some community sort of on like events for people to just do in their own time. And we got, all these people we knew to donate some prizes like Gooder, Sunnies, and, we had some shoes and things like that. And we just created all these sort of online ISO challenges. And so we had a lot of people competing in them. And then we were sending out prizes. And that was really that was my partner Anthony's idea, because we started a business, but we wanted to sort of do it more for the community first, and then work on getting more people to coach. So that was a really good start, I think, for it, because there's a lot of people, when the lockdown first happened, everyone was in lockdown. I know Queenslanders have had it pretty easy because we haven't had too many lockdowns, but initially at the start of last year, March, April last year, it was pretty hard for a lot of people it was just so sudden as well. So, we've had a lot of people come up to us in person since then and just saying, oh, we really enjoyed those ISO challenges. And we had people from country Queensland doing them, Brisbane, Sunny Coast. A girl I'm coaching now that was living in Florida in America, she came back from college, and I'm coaching her now. So just a lot of people saw our little challenges, and it was just a way to keep fun. And they weren't just all sort of 5K running. Some of them was, the most elevation you could do in your running in a week, or things like that. So all different sorts of challenges. And we had something different every week. So yeah, so it was pretty fun. And we've just kind of grown since then. And we're sort of based here on the Gold Coast, but we specialize in online, like individualized coaching. So, I think the best way for people to improve is just getting coached, to suit their lifestyle, their family, how many years they've been running, what their goals are, how old they are, and all that kind of thing. So, you can't really set one session or one program that fits like 10, 15 people. Like, everyone's different. And that's what I love about coaching, is that it's a bit of an art as well. So that's why we're sort of on the individualized sort of online coaching, but we also have a few group sessions each week as well. But yeah, it's been fun. And we actually just brought our house in Currumbin here on the Gold Coast, and that's going to be our headquarters for Lace Up, which will be fun, but it'll be a massive reno for a year first.
Man, that's exciting. It's been, if there was ever a time to have a business that was online, it's been the last 18 months, hasn't it? And that's the thing. I find it really interesting because I work with to be honest, mostly like footballers who are trying to improve the running element of their game. And the one thing that I've noticed, and the one thing that I say, it doesn't matter if you're around the corner or you catch up twice a week in person. If you can, like what we're doing right now, if there's like Zoom or a phone call, you can touch base, you can chat about the training or email threads or whatever. It's just that communication aspect. And I towards the end of my running career, I was training under Adam Diddick for a couple of years, and he was in South Australia and I was over here in Melbourne, and I was a little bit nervous because at the time I'd only ever done face-to-face coaching, and over that 2-year period, I was like, oh my gosh, it helped because he was super diligent, you know what I mean, with what he was doing. So we would chat once or twice a week. I would just let him know how it was going. And the coaching aspect's good like that. I almost preferred it in a way because it gave me a little bit of flexibility, a little bit of freedom to be able to navigate what I was doing, and then just have that person there as more of a mentor, as a guide for whenever I need it. Like, how have you found the whole process? Because obviously the last few years, since the internet's picked up so well, it's become more possible than probably even when you and I were running competitively. But it's just amazing how much has sort of transpired, how quickly it's all transpired online the last couple of years. This makes it so easy to do this.
Yeah, look, I think, so I started coaching when I was working at Boulder Centre for Sports Medicine at around 2009, 2010. And I had a lot of online clients then.
Oh, even then, wow.
And way back. And I still have probably 6-7 of those people I still coach. So that's been like 10 years, but I think they love the structure, but also like you were saying, like, it's more, they sort of know what they're doing, but it's more to hold back, or if you've got, you know, something going on where you might need to take it easy, or you've got like a little niggle and you need advice on, you know, who to see and things like that. But yeah, I've had a lot of people that have done really well in America, and they just love, I think, just having someone there to talk to. But they're like very busy people, and they probably don't have time to be at specific group sessions every week, so they need it to fit around their lifestyle. Like a lot of them have different work schedules every week, so you can't always give them a session on Tuesday. You've got to sort of fit it in with exactly what they're doing each week. And you know, some of the people I coach, they, you know, for their holidays, they go on little training camps. So some of the Americans that I coach, I've got a couple in Columbus, and they often go to Boulder in Colorado for a week or two here and there for a holiday, but also to run. So it helps if you sort of understand what they're doing, and you can set a bit harder training when they're not working and they've got more time to rest and recover as well. So yeah, I think people really like the aspect that it's all sort of centered around what you're doing and your goals, rather than, you know, it's a big sort of group thing where everyone just sort of shows up and you just run around, which, you know, there's definitely a place for those big group sessions, but my sort of client base is generally people, yeah, that are very busy. And like, you know, my sister, she loves it. She's got 3 little kids. She just qualified as a barrister just a few days ago. So I went to a few weeks ago. So I went to the ceremony yesterday, but she's really busy, you know, a lawyer and now barrister, and, you know, and 3 kids, and she works as the ombudsman in Brisbane at the moment. So people that are super busy, they just want to know what their session is. They want it to be a time efficient session and sort of see their progress as well. Because these high achieving people, they want to see progress. So you can sort of measure all of that part of it. But I think a big thing about coaching and the clients that I have and the people that I have, they are such high achievers that it's about holding them back more so than doing too much. And that's where a lot of people go wrong with running. They just, you know, even if you're a beginner, you just want to run, you know, 10K straight up, or you just want to enter a marathon and not do much and just run it. But, you know, it's that process of the little steps to get to what you want to achieve. That's something that, you know, you can't, if you don't know anything about the sport, you can't really make that up. So I think that's when, you know, people are drawn to what you do as a coach. But yeah, it's just one of the things. I really enjoy it, but I love all the different sorts of people that you work with, because it's all sorts of people. It's not just one stereotypical person that you coach. And I like that diversity as well. So I've always lived in fairly diverse, like, little communities too. So that's what I sort of love about people that we work with.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. What I love about your situation as well, and you just touched on it then, because I get the vibe that even though you competed at such a ridiculously high level, you're really good at like that interpersonal kind of stuff with athletes, whether they're elite or whether they're brand new to the sport, is such a special thing to have. Because I think it's just like you can be a good doctor and not boil down a simple message or not have those people skills, and someone leaves the room like, all right, he seems smart, but I just don't really know what I was just asked to do. Whereas in the running world, you've got that nice ability to be able to say, all right, well, I've run this fast for a marathon, but I can also relate this to you and your own situation, which is a really powerful thing. So I was going to ask you, with the range of athletes that you're working with at Lace Up, is it like specifically focused at any particular group? Obviously, high achievers, you said, take up a big part of the people you train, but are you working with brand newies, or are you working with elite, or just like whoever wants to be coached can reach out to you?
Yeah, well, look, we have like an elite team. So we have about probably 6 people in that. So we're not focused on any particular sort of ability of a runner. So we have an elite team, and essentially those people, you know, we work with them as our elites and really help with getting into races, and, you know, getting, you know, we give them free product to wear our gear and that kind of stuff, and very cheap coaching, almost free coaching, because a lot of those people at that level, especially the people we work with, they're not in the NAS funding, they're not in the Olympic teams, you know, they're at that level where they're very good, but they get nothing from, you know, Athletics Australia, or no funding. So, you know, they're the sort of people that they're working full time, but they really want to make that breakthrough. So they're the people I love to work with, because they've just got no other support from anywhere else. So we sort of help, that's like, we've got a few girls that run about 2:40 for the marathon. One girl that can run under 2:30, but she's American, so not from Australia. So we've got a few pretty good marathon people, and we got a triathlete that's pretty good, and just a few people that, and one girl in Queensland that won the state 800 champs last year. She's a New Zealander, but she's an up and coming athlete as well. So we've got a little elite team, but everyone else we work with is recreational running. And we have a few really real beginners, but most of them are sort of people that can run between 2:30 and probably 4:30 for the marathon. So that is a really big range though. But I like working with, the beginners into the sport as much as the top level people. So it's just really depends on, with coaching, you've got to relate to who you're working with too. So I never approach athletes like if they want to, get coached by us, they'll come to us. And I think that's a really big part of it as well. But I also tell people that, it's got to be sort of a really good communication. You've got to really believe in what you're doing. And if you just don't quite believe in what you're doing, you're probably either not doing the right stuff or don't quite have that good relationship with whoever you're working with. So, it's just a matter of it's just got to work. And if I've got people that I think it'll be better if they're suited in a different group, I'd tell them that as well. But yeah, generally most of our people are sort of people that work full time, got families, but just love their running and love having the program each week and just really enjoy it. So we have like a Facebook group, a closed Facebook group, and we have like a lot of chats going in there and just putting in information and things like that. But yeah, I think in general, we have a lot of Queenslanders, but I think that's just normal because we're based here in Queensland. But then I have a lot of people, quite a few people in America as well. And so it's just sort of, everyone coming together for the same sort of likeness, and people telling each other about people as well, which I think that's the best advertising that we ever do is sort of, you do a good job with someone and then they tell someone else rather than how many followers do I have on Instagram to keep writing about what I do. And, I think it should all be about, getting results, but also, being a good person to the people you're looking after. And I coach as well as we have another coach called Tennille, who's awesome, lives here on the Gold Coast. She can run 2:40 for the marathon. She's a great little coach. And also my partner, Anthony, who's done Kona Ironman, but he's also does trail running. So he looks after a lot of trail people as well. So yeah, so we have 3 coaches, but we look after everyone as well as we can individually. And look, we've got Americans and quite a few New Zealanders that are really keen to come out to Gold Coast Marathon next year if they can, or maybe the year after if they can't. But they're always keen to sort of come to events that we'll be at as well. So, and I mean, obviously I'd like to travel again at some stage as well to see people we coach run. But yeah, we've got a lot of people, but really good people and people that we really like working with as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. So are you guys with the local group, do you do in-person sessions as well? Like, is there a Sunday run or something that you guys do together? Yeah. Or is it pretty much, because at the moment, that's one thing I've been trying to navigate. I'd been a little bit lazy down here with the group that I'm doing, and a couple of people had said, hey, I'm looking for a couple of people to run with. And I thought, well, we've got such a good crew that it may as well be something that we look at organising. But one of the things that you mentioned earlier, which sort of reminds me of one guy in particular down here. So one guy who I'm helping out, Matthias, his name is he's a train driver, and he's got the most ridiculous training routine, or the most ridiculous work timetable, I should say. So one week he works from like 12 a.m. till 8 a.m. or something. I'm butchering his work hours. And then the next week he does like the day shift. So in 1 week he's exhausted and he's got like way more flexible hours. And the next week he's got heaps of energy. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so it's a really interesting thing trying to navigate the personal timetables and training programs as well as the meetups. But how do you structure that? Do you give the option for people in the group who want it?
Yeah. So we always do a Sunday run. Although, yeah, we try to be involved in community events. So this Sunday, there's a girl called Bonnie Hancock who is going to paddle on her surf ski around Australia. So it's going to take about 6 to 8 months or so, 6 months. So she's starting her paddle from Mermaid Beach Surf Club on Sunday. So we'll go there for that. That's at 7 o'clock, and then do our run after that. But yeah, so she's absolutely amazing. Like, one of the guys that we coach, he's going to be going around with her as a videographer. So he's a great guy, Blake Bradford. So we have a bit of an involvement with the community with different people. And I mean, yeah, she's doing it for mental health, for men's mental health, to raise money. And she's a fantastic person. So, I mean, I think she's got to paddle about 80 Ks a day to do it in 6 months. Yeah, it's pretty, she's a former surf lifesaver. She's very good athlete, but it's going to be bloody hard. Like, it'll be great to follow her journey. So, yeah, so we'll go to see that launch and then do our run. But usually on Sundays we run and just do sort of an easy long run. And then occasionally we'll have another session during the week as well. So yeah, it sort of just depends what's on. I'll often be at events when we have events up here in Queensland when I can get to them. And then yeah, and it's just sort of whatever else we have going on that we can sort of structure to fit in with what people want to do. But yeah, it's just one of those things that I think it's really good to support like what's happening in the community and doing different things too. And especially this time of year, like I don't think people should be really focused, unless you're like the top end elite athlete, but anyone else in Australia, especially up in Queensland, there's no big races on it around Christmas, or it's very hot up here for races. There's some trail races on and bigger trail races on into March next year up here. Like there's a big race called Noosa Ultra Trail that's in March. But really up until then, there's not much on. So you just don't want to train as hard as you can in the very hot summer months, especially through December. So it's all about having fun and doing different things too. So, you know, we might have a bit of a swim at Talabudra and things like that. So some different things, not just sort of running all the time and just focusing on your running. I think it's really good to just focus on other things and you know, enjoy what the community's doing as well.
Yeah, such a good point. One thing I used to enjoy was just getting away from the running track and catching up with the people I ran with, whether it was down at the pub or just down for a little bit of dinner and just break up the conversation. It was always nice not to just be super competitive with each other. Myself and my best friend, we went through some tense years because we were both incredibly competitive and both around the same level. So it was always awkward at the race. But whenever we got away from the track, it could just, you know, just talk shop or, you know, just talk a little bit of smack. I felt like that was as healthy for our own friendship as well as our own sort of confidence. Because there's a couple of years there where it was like, oh my gosh, I don't know whether we're going to have to reduce our competitiveness or just not be friends anymore. So that's a great setup, especially up there at the moment. What's the weather doing up in Queensland? I reckon today down here it must be pushing 25, or I've just got like real white man skin and it feels hotter than it is because it's starting to heat up. I can't imagine it'd be any cooler up there.
No, it just gets real humid here every day. And so it's been raining heaps. Like this week it's been really nice, but I mean, it gets to like 33, 34 degrees and it's pretty hot. But the problem here in summer is it's like very humid from 5 a.m. And very hot and humid. So like this morning, I was down on the beach with my dog at 5 a.m. and it's very hot and very humid. Like he's like getting 2 drinks and like, I'm not even walking that far. But yeah, it's hard to like hit specific paces in training. So I know in some, you know, often in Victoria, it's quite nice early in the morning. And, you know, everyone up here runs at 5 a.m. But I know in Victoria, 5 a.m. is pretty early. But, you know, that's what they do. But the heat and humidity is pretty bad here for probably until at least sort of February, March. But yeah, it's just sort of what you deal with. But with people I coach up here, it's very hard to just write a program based on what they can do for different events and based on certain paces. When it's really hot and humid, you can't hit the paces. So it's more about effort and feel and just backing off a little bit in summer. So not doing the really long runs and things like that, just sort of doing a bit more cross training and sort of enjoying more what's around you rather than sort of just running too much all the time. And then we sort of ramp things up again, you know, into sort of February next year. But that's obviously different. Anyone I've got in America, some of them have big races coming up because it's winter there. So it's perfect for training in a lot of places in America. So it's just depends on where people live and what they've got coming up and their goals and things like that as well. Yeah.
Like a nice little puzzle for you to solve. It's so funny. So one of the things that I do down here is I write pre-season running training programs for like the AFL scene. But then beyond that, I write the same things for the soccer scene. So AFL is super easy because it's like we only really play it in Victoria. Like a couple of other states dabble in it. I know that's not true, but like percentage-wise. Yeah. And then you have in the soccer scene, it's like, all right, well, you have amateurs and then you have professionals, and that's just in Melbourne. But then you have like the international as well. So you've got like Spanish leagues and you've got English leagues. And so it's my head. I have to sit down with the board. I'm like, okay, so it's February in Australia. What does that mean? It's February in London. What does that mean? So it sounds like you and I are playing a pretty similar game.
Yeah, and that's a good idea. So do you have people from Europe that you coach for soccer in the off season too? Like all those different leagues?
So what it is, though, it's more of a, how do you explain it? there's two options essentially. So you can, if it all online, obviously. So you've got an entry-level program where you buy it, and it just gives you like a basic guide as to how do you structure your program 12 weeks out from your season launching. And then the next one up from that is that, but then we have a coaching thread. So it's a lot more individualized, So it's, if you're dealing with like a little bit of knee pain, or you trained too hard last week, or you're a train driver, you don't know how to navigate your timetable. So I'll work a little more one-on-one with them, but it sounds very similar to what you're doing. But yeah, I've got sort of athletes in 3 different sports are the main one. Like the football is the main one, surprisingly, because I started this thing thinking it'd just be distance running. And then distance running and the soccer's the newest one, but it's still quite popular, because I never really realized just how intense soccer players trained until about 12 months ago, when I was I went on a YouTube rabbit hole, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, and it was very similar to the AFL scene in a lot of senses. So it's been great for my head. I reckon my brain it's grown about 4 feet. I'm not sure that's a measure of brain size, but it's something I can sympathise with, or something I can appreciate. It's a bit of a challenge at time to time. So how do you sort of do it? Do you have a little bit of a structure as to how you get your head around what athletes in what phase of their training?
Yeah, like generally I put in their sort of biggest goal race into so I use Training Peaks in my programming, and I put in the biggest races, and then any sort of lead up races, and then plan back with all the sort of specific long runs, if it's a marathon, or from the longer runs back into where they are now. But look, if it's someone that's in their 50s and 60s, generally I give them a bit more cross training, because we know, bone density decreases as you get a bit older, and if they've got a history of stress fractures, I'd sort of give them more cross training as well. So yeah, I do plan back from the goal race, but it really depends on the person, and and their history and their running history as well, and things like that. But it's very, and like I like your train driver as well. I have quite a few people that are sort of nurses that work through the night. I've got a guy up north that does really, really hardcore shifts, so he has 5 rest days in a row when he's working, and then he has all these days for training. So it's sort of just structuring it to suit what they're doing, but also working back from their main goal. And some people, they don't know what they want to do, or I've got some people and their main goal is Gold Coast Marathon next year, which is July next year. So it's a long way away. So, at the moment, you just sort of do a bit of training to just get through Christmas and January, and then you look at some lead up races to Gold Coast Marathon and start that, marathon prep 3 months out. So it sort of really all depends on, what people specifically are targeting. And then, working back. But yeah, it's just one of those things. I've been teaching some of the Athletics Australia Rec Running level 1 coaching courses, and it's all like when I explain different things to people, just learning how to coach and to become a coach. It's sort of a lot of it's planning, training, but it's also that the skills to be able to have a conversation with people and understand what they mean, and get feedback each week, and how you relate to people and how you understand their situation. I think what makes you a good coach, rather than just knowing what sessions to set to. And it's just one of those things that if you don't pick up on things, if you don't have that sort of that way with people, sometimes it's easy to just sort of just keep setting stuff, but they're not really responding to the training or getting what they should be getting out of it. So how you communicate with people, there's so many great coaches that they're not good athletes. They've never been good athletes, but they're great coaches because of that relationship with people, and how they sort of can structure things, and how they can get people in their mind to perform it as well as they can as well. So it's sort of, there's so many different things going into coaching that it's hard. I mean, obviously you have to know what training to set, and things like that, but there's a lot more to it than how you structure their sort of weekly plan. But like everyone I coach, I never write training more than a week ahead, because people get sick, things come up, they might have a really busy work conference, they need 2 days off, so they tell me that the week before I write the training, I've got to have 2 days off, and so then I can sort of give them sessions on a different day, or change the long run around if they're traveling for a day to get back home from something. So it's sort of, it all sort of changes, but that major goal that people have is the one that you sort of always structure back from. And you got to keep people injury free and things like that as well, and really enjoying it. So you've got to have those different sort of phases of the year mapped out as well. So you can't sort of train. I tell people I coach, you can't be so focused on training and racing and you know, you've got to get this done. You can't be like that for 12 months a year. So you've only got, you know, a few time periods per year where you can be really focused on an event or your training. And, you know, you can be fairly focused all the rest of the year, but you can't be like, this is the be all and end all, because you get to a point where you just break down. So I always tell people, mentally and physically, it can't go for 12 months a year. So even if I'm coaching that person for 12 months, they do have periods of time where they're having a week off, or, you know, they're having an easy week, or things like that. So, yeah. And I know Brad Beer, who's a physio down here, he's got the Pogo up here. He's got the Pogo physio and the performance show. Yeah. So he's sort of, he's a really good guy. And there's studies that show taking a week off running, probably every, depending on the person, 2 to 3 months, helps with bone stress injuries. So just helps your body to really, really recover. So we do plan that in particular people's training as well. So it's good to have a bit of a scientific knowledge as well, and then knowing the person's history with stress fractures and things like that too. But yeah, it is a bit of a puzzle. It's like a puzzle, but you put all the pieces together.
That's so true. I think it's a really interesting point you were just saying about what was it? I had an asterisk next to a thought, and I forgot. Oh, that's what it was. Yeah. So about planning the training a week ahead. So a week ahead. One thing that Adam was saying that really stuck with me when he was coaching me was at the time he would give me training for a couple of weeks ahead, but he'd always say it's just written in pencil. So it's hey, you got to communicate with me about what your actual week looks like. Because I'm the same as you with any of the runners that I work with. I just do a week ahead for the same reasons you just explained, because I knew how much in my own life, like training, even as serious as I was about it, sometimes it would get thrown out for matters that were sort of beyond my control. So for people who are just doing it as a hobby, more of a hobby or just a general fitness and well-being thing, it's probably even magnified in that area. But it's so helpful and such a good attitude to have for athletes out there, I think, who are trying to navigate their way through training. Like a lot of the time, I don't know about you, I speak for myself, when I used to be quite rigid, especially when I was younger. Like if I missed a training session, it'd do my head in. It'd really stress me out. Yeah. Then as I got older, I was like, surely this is just wasting more energy, than what it's worth worrying about this session. Because I look at bloke, and he's my classic example of the most laid-back bloke in the world, who just happens to be the best runner in Australia at the moment, in Stewie McSwain. Like you can't find a more relaxed customer than him. And I can't imagine like a session being muddled up on his schedule that would stress him out too much. And obviously there's a whole heap of other factors that adds to why he's so good. But I think just being able to reduce that waste of energy that comes with worrying about it is so helpful. So is that something that you sort of just navigated through your own career? Like, did you ever go through that period yourself where missing a particular session would stress you out or do your head in, or were you always pretty good at sort of rolling with the punches that just inevitably come up?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I reckon when I was younger, so I first went to the Australian Institute of Sport when I was like 17. And you always, you get used to like, you've got a schedule and you don't want to like mess anything up, whether it's like even uni, you miss uni lectures or you don't want to miss anything. And I think I had a bit of that mentality for probably until I was like 30. 10 years where, we're well into my, early to mid 20s anyway, where I'm probably not as relaxed as Stewie when I was younger. And so, I think I learned probably by the hard way of getting injuries or, I got glandular fever. I remember when I was first at uni, training hard, just had too many things on. And I got tonsillitis as well at the same time. It was the first time I ever went to hospital was the second year I was at the AIS when, but like you just want to do everything and you can't. And I was trying to play hockey for A grade hockey at the same time too, and just doing too much. So I think I'm more conscious of that now when I'm coaching younger people that might not have learnt, the hard way about that. So I think, people that are in their 40s, 50s probably understand it a bit better. But then if they're fairly new to running, they probably don't understand it. So, it's all about their background to how I would sort of manage that. But I know when I was, probably between 18 and 25, it was pretty, I was like, it was pretty hard not to miss sessions and things like that. But then you get better at it. And then as you get a bit older, like when I was in marathon training and when I was living in America, I was probably a bit better at that and a bit more relaxed. And I know, you know, probably the best marathoners in the world, a lot of them, you know, are a bit more relaxed about that, because if you just push too much all the time, you're probably always going to be injured or sick or things like that. And, you know, we saw this year, and I really admire Sinead Diver, probably in particular, where she's gone, you know, she's gone to the Olympics, she's had to do the quarantine, she goes over to London, she still runs awesome, so close to the Olympics, even though, you know, I know she probably wanted to run a bit faster, but like she was fantastic at the Olympics, like just that travel and that quarantines and everything, but she still competed really well. And that shows that someone is probably very mature with knowing what they need to do in their training, and they're probably able to back off when they need to. And you sort of learn that as you get a bit older. And I certainly probably learned it more, in the second half of my career. And I'm very conscious of that with people I coach as well, because it is very hard to hold people back. Like, it's not that hard to tell them to train hard, because everyone wants to train hard. Even a beginner wants to train hard. So it's always that, just have a rest day. No, like a lot of people don't want to take a rest day. And I think full rest days, especially with rec runners, can really help your body regenerate. And even though I know, like, if you have a full rest day, sometimes some people feel crappy because they're used to running and they're used to sort of doing stuff, and they have a rest day and they feel crappy, but then they feel good the next day. And maybe 2 days later, they do a really good long run or something that they might have been too tired to do if they had to sort of push through. So yeah, I think holding people back is probably the hardest thing. And that's what I would have struggled with, when I was sort of early in my career.
I 100% see exactly the same pattern in myself. And that, you know, just it seems funny, isn't it? It's like a natural progression we all go through from like, all right, I'm going to be the best runner, I'm just going to do all the hard training, but we forget that the actual rest can be like a little bit of an added or secret weapon that actually can assist us rather than slow us down. Yeah. Look, we've only got a few minutes left before I let you go. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. I just wanted to find out, so if someone's interested in touching base with you and joining Lace Up, like, what does that process look like? They reach out, and then what do you fire a couple of questions about, walk us through that process a little bit.
Oh, yeah. So often people, they'll get in touch. They'll just fill out our contact form on our website, and then we ask them a few questions, and then we get back in touch, or they might send us a direct message on Instagram or on Facebook as well. Send us a message on Messenger. But we always get back to them. I have like a little form that people fill out, and it just gives us a bit of a history about what you're already doing, what you want to do. And just ask them if, how many years you've been running. And then I give them a call, probably less than a week before, just after you fill that form in. So it's just about getting in touch and giving us a little bit of information about your running history, just so we know what's been going on before we give you a call. So we always give people a call within a week or so of contacting us, just so we can kind of see what you want to do. And it's never something we're charging for. It's more just to see if it's going to be a fit to work with us. And then we can explain about how we coach and just see if it's going to be a fit for what people are looking for.
Yeah, awesome, B. No, that sounds great. Well, I'll whack you. Mind you, it's not going to be hard for people to type Lace Up into Google, but I'll put the website in the show notes just for easy access for anyone who's super keen to get on board. But thanks for coming back. It's good to sit down and have a chat with you again. I was pumped. I always get nervous messaging someone back for a second time, because I'm like, all right, come on. Like, I would love to. It's weird because all of a sudden we speak for an hour. I feel like we're best mates. And then I sneak back into your inbox 12 months later and go, all right, you're ready for round 2. So I'm glad you agreed. And it's not just like a one-way friendship where I like you and you're just regretting or like doing your best to avoid coming back. So it's nice to have you back on, B.
No, it's good. Yeah. And look, I love talking to people that coach as well. And I can learn so much from you, and it's just good to be back on and just having a bit of a chat, because I love it as much as you do, and hopefully a lot of the listeners as well. But it's just about improving people's lives, which is fantastic. So yeah, thanks for having me on.
Nah, too easy. Thanks, B. All right, guys. Hey, we'll leave it there for the week, and hey, we'll all be back next week. Cheers. B, I'll cut it off there. That was fun. That was great.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it's pretty easy. Like, yeah, no, but because you know so much about it too. Like, it's just one of those things that you could talk for ages about different things. So.
It's so true. It's so true. I like with the with the specific coaching one, or like more of a Q&A style one, just to make it. I deliberately made it a little bit shorter, just so it'd be more of a bite. So some of them go for like an hour 15.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, well, you can get your message across in sort of 45 and enjoy your afternoon. So
thanks.
Cool.
No, thanks. So well, thanks for calling. You have a good Christmas. Yeah.
Hey, you too. You too. And if you've ever got anything,
did you see Jess when she was in Melbourne?
No, I didn't even see a race result. Yeah. I spoke to her maybe a month and a half ago, and then I said I'll try and catch up in Melbourne, and just never followed up with her. I forgot about it. How did she go?
Oh, she ran 72 minutes. She came third. Yeah.
Pretty soon after the girls, marathon, really.
Yeah, it's very close. Like her marathon was very good. Like I could never run a half even that good, like that soon after a marathon. So yeah, but like I know she was in Melbourne because I've got a few people. Like I didn't have anyone in Melbourne because we just didn't think we'd be able to get back because our borders only just changed. I think they were just open the day after Melbourne. But I just saw because she was tagging all these people she wanted to catch up with in Melbourne, or she tagged, like some of her girlfriends that live there. So I was just wondering because I know you're friends with her. Hey.
Yeah, I am. I I banned myself off Instagram for a while, so I haven't even been on. So you might have tried to reach out, and I've just completely snobbed her. So I'll have to shoot her a text message because I'm a bad mate, not even saying good effort.
But that 225 in Perth is so good.
That is so insane.
She's very like Jess. She's one of those people that she'll probably run better out of all those other girls. Like don't put this on, but I reckon she's got the most improvement because she's younger too. We'll see how she goes, but 225 is pretty good in Perth.
That's bloody good. What did you run? Did you run 222 or 23?
22. Yeah.
That's so insane.
But like a long time ago, like 2006. So like Lisa on Deaky's run 223. And then I think Sinead Diver 224. So I think they're the top three times, I think. And then Karen McCann's run a 225. Yeah, Jess, Lisa Waitman, Nikki Carroll, I think. So it's just one of those things. But I still haven't tried the super shoes. I got to try them out.
I tell you what, it might have been a 220 if you had the super shoe back in the day.
I've never tried them, but and like I'm not fit enough to try them. I feel like I'm not fit enough to wear them, but it would have been cool.
I know what you mean. I went out for a run the other day. I was like, all right, I'm going to run 3K easy and 3K hard. And my 3K hard, I was working so hard on the way home, and I think my fastest K was like 3:31. And I can't justify a super shoe while I'm running the 3:31K. So I'm going to have to work on my fitness a bit.
I just give people shit like if they're walking around. They walk around in them here, and I'm like, don't walk around in them.
True. There's people at my gym who wear them. I'm like, mate, you've got the wrong understanding.
So anyway, I've got to get fitter before I ever buy a pair. But they're all. And
if you've ever got anything you want to advertise or plug or just anything, just feel free to reach out and you're welcome. Honestly, I'm always looking for guests as well. So does you a favor, does me a favor. Hopefully a few people reach out to you from the podcast. But let me know.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, no, I love all the stuff you do, and like I like people like Liam Adams. I really like just the really down to earth people. It's really cool. You have heaps of those sort of people on. So I
cool. Like you too. I think that's probably why I like talking to you, because you're in that same boat as Liam Adams. Just a real conversation and just real stuff, not just like doesn't feel so. You're like, so how are you?
And some people, that's how they talk, and it's annoying. So boring. All right, well, thanks, and have a good Christmas, and I'll be in touch though. And you too as well, get in touch.
Thanks B. All right, I'll see you soon. Hey,
cool. Okay, see ya.
Bye.